Today we are going to be taking a look at this train kit by the Chinese company Letbricks. Spoiler alert, it's not good. So a while ago I was contacted by Letbricks asking if I was interested in reviewing some of their products. I replied saying I wasn't interested in signing up for some affiliate program, but if they wanted to send me something for free, I would make a video about it. To my surprise, they said yes and asked me what kit I would like. I had a look at the range, and about 8 weeks later, this showed up at my door. First impressions of the box? Not great. The sticker isn't aligned properly, the print quality is very poor, and the sticker isn't even applied flat. But hey, that's just the box. No one cares about the box. Inside is a large plastic bag filled with parts and a USB stick. The large plastic bag is open at one end, although it looks like it was supposed to be taped shut. For some reason there's also a bag with a single part taped to the outside of it. There are no printed building instructions, instead the kit comes with a USB stick containing a PDF. Okay, let's build this thing. The build was mostly frustrating. The point of a building kit like this is to have fun making it and end up with a nice looking model. But during the build I kept encountering more and more annoyances, and it made for a very poor building experience. There were a few instances of parts being added to the model that don't connect to anything yet. This isn't always a bad thing, but then the instructions would tell you to place a few dozen unrelated parts, until finally the loose part is connected to the rest of the model a few steps later. There are also a few moments during the build where the model is very unstable. Things would break apart while building a few times, like here. The two halves of the base are only held together by a single stud until the large yellow plate is added. Then there is the large amount of force required to put pieces together properly. The clutch power of these parts seems to be stronger than the original Lego bricks, meaning it's difficult to press them together. The build took me roughly 4 hours, and afterwards all my fingers were sore, something I've never had problems with when building official Lego sets. The wheel sets were probably the most annoying to build. The sides are very fragile, and the order the designer chose for each part in the building instructions didn't help. Parts placed in previous steps get in the way, and the parts that require the most pressure to install are saved to the end, making it very easy to break stuff and have to rebuild it. The way the sides are attached to the motor is very fiddly, and it doesn't even line up properly at the end. You end up with this one plate gap, which could have been filled to add some much needed extra stability. But then, we get to this point. Guess how many steps it takes before the yellow and blue steps are connected to the rest of the model. There. But wait, did you guess never? That's right! These don't connect to the model at all! They're just supposed to float there and stay in place by sheer determination or something. Seriously, there are no studs holding these on. Now it's time to connect the buffer beam and the floating stairs to the rest of the wheel sets. But the clips connecting the sides of the wheel sets are in the way. That means they will need to come off, and that means they will fall apart again, and that means I have to spend ages fiddling around to get them to connect again. Time to install the battery box. It's a nicely compact unit with a power button and a convenient USB charging port. Can you guess what the next step is? That's right! Place some 2x4 plates right over the power button and charge port. At this point I'm starting to get really fed up with this build. Just a quick update midway through the build. I'm currently at step 91, and this is where the first collision errors occur. This bracket over here, are both interfering with these jumper plates that are supposed to be here. Going great so far. Things go smoothly for a while, apart from some minor annoyances. But then it becomes apparent that the kit doesn't have all the parts required to finish the model. In total there are about 10 of these dark blue 2x4 tiles missing. Also notice how there are 2 wheels laying on the table. These keep falling off the model because it uses 5 long Technic axles in the motor, which are just slightly too short to hold both wheels properly. The set did come with an extra set of 6 long Technic axles, so I guess someone at Letbricks realized this would be a problem. But the 5 long axles are also still included, and the instructions still use the 5 long axles with no mention of the 6 long ones. With the model finally done, let's test out the functionality. The battery box in the logo has its own internal battery, but the remote needs 2 AAA batteries to work. Connecting the remote is as simple as turning on the remote and the battery box. But wait a second, remember how we covered the power button in the logo? So, to turn on the train, you're going to have to pick it up. Ah right, that happens sometimes. Some bad tolerances in the parts means that the bogies tend to fall off when you lift the train up. Anyway, to turn it on, you need to pull the battery box out of the bottom. The easiest way to get to it is to remove the black side details so you can get a good hold on it. Once it's out, you can just turn it on and put it back in. If one or both of the motor cables came out with the battery box, you'll need to shove those back in first, which is harder than it looks due to the limited space inside. Next, rebuild and connect the black side details, put the bogie back in place the logo on its wheels, and lift it up to the track. Ah fuck. So, how well does it drive? The kit comes with 2 motors, but each is connected to a different output on the battery box. This means you will always need to hold down 2 buttons on the remote. There's also no speed control, only full speed or off. You can technically go slowly by holding one of the buttons and using the other motor as a brake, but this seems like a quick way to burn out your motors. Let's take a closer look at the final model itself. At first glance, it looks quite good. The colors are nice, and the train has a nice shape and size to it. However, things start to look less good once we spin the model around. Firstly because the wheel sets keep falling off, but that's not the only issue. The most glaring problem is the 10 or so 2x4 tiles that were missing from the kit, meaning one side of the logo still looks like this. Then there are all the minor things. Things like these grill tiles, they are attached using jumper plates. Why? They are connected to a hollow stud, so a normal 2x1 plate fits just as well, has a lot more grab on the grill tiles and prevents it from rotating. There are these half-plate gaps behind the cones here. There's 2 seats in the cab, but no easy way to get access to place minifigs inside. According to the instructions, there are supposed to be controls and gauges printed on these tiles, but the kit only came with blank tiles. The buffer elements seem like a total afterthought. They look weird and just sort of float in front of the rest of the wheel sets. On the website and the box art, the model features the old-style train magnets without the buffers, which look way better. The sides of the wheel sets are very fragile and keep breaking apart. There are also some parts that don't quite fit, like these 1x2 cheese grater slopes. They don't connect to the plates below properly, because this bar is in the way. One of the horns on top of the locomotive also doesn't clip in correctly, because the black round Technic disc is in the way. Then there are the steps. These just aren't held in at all. They sort of stay in place if the model is standing still, but as soon as you drive it or just look at the model wrong, they come flying off. For a model that costs around €170 motorized, I expected way more. The clutch power of most of the parts is too high, but somehow the model still falls apart whenever you try to pick it up. The electronics work, but that's about all the good things I can say about them. I really recommend anyone to stay away from this model and probably Letbricks in general. The main problem here is the way that Letbricks operates. I've licensed some of my old designs to them in the past, so I have a pretty good idea about how they operate. They browse around in different LEGO fan communities and contact fan designers whose models they would like to sell. They negotiate a commission fee for each model, which the fan designer will receive for each of their kits that Letbricks sells. I'd estimate this fee is around 10 to 25% of the model's final price tag on Letbricks.com. The fan designer has to sign an exclusive licensing agreement and provide a digital version of the model, the building instructions and renders of the model to Letbricks. Letbricks then produces and sells the kits, and the designer receives a fee for every model they sell. Letbricks don't produce the parts themselves, but rather buy them from other Chinese manufacturers. This is a totally valid business model. The problem is that no one checks the designs before they go on sale. Letbricks expects the fan designers to make sure the design is stable and works in real bricks, but this is not stated anywhere in the contract with the fan designer. They will often contact designers that only build digitally and offer to license their models even if they've never been built or tested in real bricks. When they contacted me about licensing some of my models I'd uploaded to Bricklink's studio gallery, they never told me to test build anything. When I was negotiating with them, I asked if they would test build the models, and they simply told me, "We do not build before selling the product. Most of the works we sign are substantiated by the offer." But since Letbricks don't pay the fan designers upfront for their design, but rather pay a fee whenever they sell one of their kits, you can't expect the fan designers to go out and spend loads of money to build and test their designs, especially since they give no guarantee or even indication about sales volume. Some kits may never sell a single unit, and in that case the designer wouldn't get a single penny. So if you are thinking about buying this or any model from Letbricks, just don't.